What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday. That means we have Taco Tuesday today. We also have a pretty big NBA slate, and I'm honestly liking some of the matchups today. So what I'm going to do before I jump into these plays, we're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about player props. I'm going to give you guys some of my favorite picks for today. I do have to pick a winner from yesterday's video or from Sunday's video to win a free month of VIP. Now, I did not have a video yesterday, unfortunately. Just got behind on a few things, was busy yesterday morning, just honestly didn't have a chance to make one. So no video yesterday. I do apologize. I am picking the winner from Sunday's video, though. So if this video gets 250 likes, I will randomly select a comment down below to win a free month of our VIP. And I know I'm adjusting my mic. If it's making noises, I'm very sorry. It's just not in the position I need it. But anyways, 250 likes, I'll pick a random comment down below. Make sure you guys hit that like button, drop a comment, and remember to make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button. You do have to be a subscriber to win. So let's go ahead and pick our winner from yesterday. Winner from Sunday's video is going to be for Kevin Sexton, who said VIP me. Well, Kevin, send me a message on Discord, my man. I will get you added for that free month of VIP. I do appreciate the comments. I appreciate the love and support from every single one of you guys. And if you're a hater, I appreciate the haters too. But that being said, guys, I do want to do a recap of our picks from the last few days. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show some of the wins. So here's some of the wins from the last couple of days since I didn't have a video yesterday. We have dominated our sports book. So I've had money lines and I have been crushing them. I'm going to show you guys in Discord. Now, ignore the 30 messages I have in Discord. I wake up to at least 20 messages a day. I mean, I've already went through some of them. I needed to get the video done, so yeah, I got a lot of messages over here. If you see your profile picture over there, I will get your message. I promise. I have so many of them. But here's our list from the 14th. So I'm gonna show you guys every day. So we almost swept our player props. Had a rough day on the sports books that day, and I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys some a disclaimer here. Some days are gonna be really good on sports books, bad on props. Other days are gonna be bad on or good on props and bad on sports books. It's just how it goes, man. Sometimes the cookies aren't don't crumble the way you want it to. The 15th, you can see we swept our money lines. Every single money line we played cashed. We swept our NBA props. And we almost swept the entire board, which I showed you guys in the last video. So I do these list of plays. That way people in the Discord can make their own slips if they want to, and they don't have to tell exactly what I post. I recommend telling what I post, but if you want to make your own six-mans or stuff like that, I understand, and you guys can do it however you guys like. Here's the 16th. So this is from the from Sunday. We hit almost every single one of our sportsbook plays for NFL Sunday. Cashed almost all those. Missed the Lions money line and Bulls money line. Missed some of our NFL props. We swept our NBA props. So it was a decent day. NFL props didn't go the way, but the sports books were definitely extremely profitable. And then we got yesterday. So yesterday's, we swept our sports books again, hit every single money line we posted. We almost swept NFL, and then NBA props were just a little bit there. We had a couple of hooks that cost a slip. Mobley cost me a slip, and then Barnes cost me a slip. But overall, yesterday was a very, very good day. So I'm going to show you guys the wins. Here we go. Some of our plays we have. We have underdog Prizepicks. This is from Thunder Pick. You can see had Steelers and Packers in a parlay, Dolphins in a parlay from Sunday, had the Nets for plus money on Sunday. Obviously, these are all some from Sunday as well. Hawks money line we cashed. This is from yesterday. These are three I played yesterday. I played the game total for the Bulls and the Nuggets, and shout out to the Bulls for beating the Nuggets after playing a 3 overtime back-to-back game. Crazy. Anyways, I took the game total on that one. It cashed. Cowboys and Pistons cashed me out, and then the Cavs and the Raptors cashed me out. So lots of slips here. Here's the 49ers from Sunday. Here's from yesterday. I had a Cowboys teaser. I won $1,200 on that one. So really good couple of days, and I'm hoping we can continue this going. If you guys do want to get all the plays, you know where to go. The Discord is free. Join the Discord down below. If you guys want to get VIP access to the Discord, which is where all my plays are posted, you do have to go through the WAP. It is $10 a week or $25 a month right now if you guys do want to do it that way. But link for the WAP's down in the description. We'd love to have you guys a part of the community. Now, I will say right now, there is a worldwide outage for Cloudflare. A lot of websites are ran by Cloudflare. I'm going to show you guys an example, Parlay Play. If I click Parlay Play right here, yes, nothing works. And you're going to see this a lot on a lot of websites today. I don't know how long it's going to take to get fixed. If it's even going to get fixed today, who knows? But WAP's payment processing is struggling right now. So if it does not work, try later if you're trying to join. I'm just going to throw that out there. And some apps aren't working right now. I can't use Parlay Play like I just showed. So if this website doesn't come back up, then I'm not going to be able to post plays for those platforms, and there's just nothing I can do about it. But let's go ahead and talk about these games. So the first game that we have is going to be the Warriors on the road versus the Magic. We got Orlando plus 150 underdogs at home, a 3.5 point spread, and a 223.5 point total. So kind of a low scoring game here. 80% of the money right now is on the Warriors. 81% of the money is on the Warriors to cover the spread, and then you got 91% of the money money on the under on this total. Now, I will say, guys, a lot of games where I see 80% of the money on one team, I do not want to play it. Now, let's take a look at these two teams. We're going to take a look at how they played this season. So right now, the Warriors are actually looking good. They've won 4 of their last 5 games. They beat the Spurs in San Antonio 2 games in a row. Then they just beat the Pelicans by 18 points, which I know is not a huge feat, but they did win 3 games on the road. They are on the road versus the Magic. 4 road games in a row, 5 road games in a row, actually. And the Magic are on a 1-game loss streak versus Houston. So they kept it very, very close versus Houston. They are missing Banchero. Banchero was injured in this game as well, and they almost beat Houston in Houston. So I was very impressed by this Magic team. Wagner had a crazy good game. I think he had 40-plus points. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he did. Anyways, they've won 3 of their last 4 games. So the Magic been looking pretty decent as well. Now, injury news. Buddy Hield's probable. Kuminga's out. Melton's out for Golden State. Orlando, Banchero's out. Suggs is questionable. So you have to remember that as well. And then, obviously, Maurice has been out for the whole season pretty much. So Banchero's the big one here. Suggs is another big one. If Suggs sits, then this game could get ugly. I personally am taking Golden State money line. I'm going to put money on this minus 150. It's a little bit juiced, but I'm going to play that number. I really am. I'm going to play Golden State minus 150. I'll probably put $250 on it. That's just what I'm going to do. I think they had the better team even when the Magic are fully healthy. I think that it's a toss-up game, and they can win majority of I think they win 3 of 5. A 3 of 5 series. I got Golden State versus the Magic, both teams fully healthy. That's just me. So this one is on the road in Orlando. It is going to be a tough game. I don't think this is going to be like a butt whooping or anything, and I do think it could go either way. But no Banchero makes this Magic team a lot weaker. He's obviously one of their star players. Wagner's going to have to step it up, and then Golden State's just been playing good. So I got to take Golden State here. I can't fade them after what they just did to the Spurs 2 games in a row when I had the Spurs in both of those games. So, or maybe I didn't have them in both games, but at least one of the games they did sell me. The Spurs did, but. Anyways, got Golden State here today. Golden State money line is what I'm going to be running. For props, Wagner's probably the only prop that I trust from this game right now. I want to say Jimmy Butler, but if this game did get out of hand, I don't think that Orlando can blow Golden State out, but I think if Suggs sat, that this game could potentially get ugly for Orlando. Now, I realistically don't think that's going to happen, but if it did, it would mess up the player props a good bit. So, Jimmy Butler's one who's been a wagon for me. I kind of like Butler here, but other than that, man, there's not a whole lot from this game player prop-wise that I want to run. Just Wagner and maybe Butler. Looking at the next game, we have the Celtics taking on the Nets in Brooklyn, the plus 456 underdogs, 10.5-point spread, and a 223.5 total. Majority of the money right now is going to be on the Celtics. Obviously, this Nets team is 2-11. They just got a win versus the Wizards. They beat the Wizards pretty much in a blowout, dominant fashion, which I did have Nets money line. I just showed you guys, so I want some good money on that. Got them at plus money. But overall, man, I mean, the Celtics are looking pretty decent. They've won 3 of their last 4. They've won, 4 of their last 6. They've been a lot better this season than I expected with no Tatum. Tatum is the only injury on their team right now. The Nets are missing Cam Thomas again. The Nets could keep this game close. I do expect a close game. And if I had to pick a winner in terms of if I had to bet money on one of these two, I'm taking the Nets at home for plus 456 because that number is just so juiced, man. Like, you can't play Boston at minus 400, and I'm not taking them to win by 10.5 because I think the Nets can keep this game close. I really do, man. Nets team's not that terrible. I mean, they're not good, obviously, but they're not. I think they have potential. Cam Thomas playing doesn't make a massive difference to me. MPJ's been stepping it up, and I think this game could potentially stay within this 10.5-point spread if you want to play the spread at plus 108. But if I had to take a risk on it, I would just risk. If I was going to play their spread plus 10.5, I'd probably just risk the 456. Honestly, $100 to win 456 profit. Not a bad line there in my opinion for a matchup like this. But anyways, I do think the Celtics win. That's my pick for the game in terms of not worried about putting money on it. I do think the Celtics win, but I think the Nets can keep this competitive, and I like MPJ in this matchup. So Michael Porter, if you want to play him. Next game we have is going to be the Pistons versus the Hawks. This game is actually going to be very competitive in my opinion. There is a lot of injury news that we need to keep an eye out on before we even touch this game. Now, when I first saw this game and I was looking at it, I was like, well, the Pistons are definitely the better team, but the Pistons are on a back-to-back. Pistons are in Atlanta on a back-to-back, potentially missing some of their star players. Now, let's look at the odds here. Atlanta's plus 100, Pistons minus 103. Pretty much have even odds across the board, a 1.5-point spread and a 229.5 total. Right now, majority of the money is on the Pistons. Now, let's take a look at these injuries before anything. Pistons are on, what is this, like a 9-game win streak, 3, 6, 9, a 10-game win streak right now. The Hawks are on a 5-game win streak. They've won 6 of their last 7. They're looking really good as well. Questionable players on both teams. Cade Cunningham's questionable. You have Ausar Thompson, who is questionable. Jaden Ivey's still out, obviously. Tobias Harris, obviously, still out. If Thompson and Cunningham sit, this looks a little bit ugly. Now, Atlanta, they are potentially going to be missing Ricochet. Porzingis is questionable. Obviously, Trae Young is still out. And, bro, I don't know if y'all are watching some of that game, the last game that the Hawks played versus Phoenix, but Trae Young's watch, bro, was looking pretty nice. And if somebody can tell me what that watch was, I would love to look it up because I think it was pretty flashy. I didn't pause the TV to look at it. I think it was looking pretty cool, but I can't afford it. I'm not saying I can't afford it, but I would like to know what it is. Anyways, Porzingis, Ricochet's out or questionable, then Trae Young's out. So if we're missing Porzingis, Zach, Okongwu, and Trae Young on this Atlanta side of things, and then Cunningham and Thompson play, I think that becomes pretty ugly for the Hawks. So I'm scared to put any money on this right now. Both teams fully healthy. It's hard for me to bet against the Pistons on a 10-game win streak, and both teams injured. It's hard for me to bet against Atlanta because if they're missing Cade and Ausar today, they're missing a lot of their starters, and they're on a back-to-back on the road versus Atlanta. So if Atlanta starters play, it could get pretty rough on either side of things. But I will say Detroit on a 10-game win streak, I feel like they're going to want to try to run this win streak as long as possible. Like, how long of a win streak can they go without losing? So I wouldn't be surprised if Ausar and Cade ended up playing, like, honestly, because this is a tough game. So we'll see what happens there. If Cade and Ausar play, then I got the Pistons winning. If they sit, I'm probably going to run Hawks. But for now, I'm just going to fade it. If you can get an edge here, you want to play like the odds right now, you can get an edge if you pick right on whatever the game script is. If you think that Cade and Ausar are going to play, and you think the Pistons win if they play, then running Pistons at -103 is a good value there. But obviously, if Cade and Ausar get ruled out, you're probably going to get better value than the -103. So it really just depends on if you can guess the game right, or game script right. But anyways, for that one, I'm going to fade for now. Anyways, next game we have is going to be the Grizzlies taking on the Spurs. Spurs playing at home, -200 favorites, -6.5 on the spread, 232.5 total. Right now, 80% of the money is going to be on the Spurs, and I'm going to say I think the Spurs win, but I'm going to go ahead and say, guys, I think this is more competitive than people are going to give it credit for. A lot of money on the Spurs right now. 5 of the last 7 games the Spurs have won. Their only 2 games or 4 of the last 6, not 5 of the last 7. 4 of the last 6 they've won. Only 2 losses were against Golden State. So Golden State just had their number, 2 very close games. That game should have been a win for the Spurs, but they lost. Next game we have, or the other team we have, Grizzlies, who are on a 4-game loss streak. They've looked horrendous this season. They've lost 8 of their last 9 games. They won 1 game versus Dallas, but they kept some of these games close, man. Like, they just lost to the Cavs 108-100. They lost to OKC 114-100, which I guess you could consider that a blowout. Some of these games are close. Some of them are ugly. Let's take a look at injuries. So right now they're missing Brandon Clark, Jerome, Morant, Scottie Pippen, and then Javon Small. So Morant's the big one here that we're looking at. Morant being out does hurt this Grizzlies team a lot. Let's look at Spurs, man. So on the Spurs side of things, they're missing Castle and they're missing Wembanyama. So our man Wemby's out tonight, which leaves, obviously that's their star player for the Spurs. Castle has been stepping it up. Castle is going to be out in this one. So we got Fox pretty much as the dominant player here, in my opinion. Obviously, you got Champagne, you got obviously some decent players in here. I'm not saying anything negative about the other players, but when you're missing your stars, it makes it hard to trust some of these teams. And I will say, I do think Fox steps it up tonight. I do think the Spurs are going to win, but I think this game is going to be very competitive, and I could see this game being a 1 or 2 point game, honestly. So if you wanted to run the spread for Memphis, I wouldn't say that's a bad play at all. But I do have Spurs money line. If you wanted to risk Memphis plus 200, then I would not argue against that at all, because I could definitely see that happening if anything. But for this game, I like Fox in this matchup in terms of PRA or points, and then I like our man Jaren Jackson Jr. to step it up here as well. I think Triple J is going to have a good game. Next 2 games we have is going to be the Jazz taking on the Lakers and the Suns taking on the Trailblazers. So Jazz Lakers -500 favorite, 12.5 point spread with a 237.5 total. Right now, 85% of the money is going to be on the Lakers to win this game. You got 61% of them covering a 12.5 point spread. The Jazz have looked pretty rough. I'm not going to lie, they did beat the Bulls 150 to 147, but other than that, man, they've had a tough season so far. A lot of injuries for them as well. Walker Kessler's out for the season. They got Kyle Filipowski, who is questionable. Kyle Anderson is questionable. Hendricks is questionable. If you look at the Lakers side of things, LeBron is questionable. Gabe Vincent is questionable. So this Lakers team is almost fully healthy. LeBron may be back pretty soon, guys. I don't know if you guys saw, he's back from the G League. He just moved up. I've seen that meme. It was kind of made me laugh. But regardless, it's been a lot of LeBronny James. Like, never mind. If you haven't seen the memes, it is what it is. But it made me laugh. Anyways, LeBron's questionable. I think the Lakers win this game in a pretty easy fashion. I don't think it's going to be a 1 or 2 point game. I do think the Jazz keep it close enough for some player props to cash. So I like marketing in this game. I like lowering marketing. It's hard for me to play Doncic. His lines are just so elevated, even though he can cash it about every game. Very, very elevated. I think this game does stay fast paced like it's projected. I think we can see some big scorings here, which obviously is going to be good for player props, and I like this matchup in terms of playing some of the players. Next game we have is going to be the Suns taking on the Trailblazers. Got Trailblazers minus 122 favorites at home, pretty much even odds, very, very close anyways. 2.5 point spread with a 236.5 total. Right now, 72% of the money is on the Suns, and 43% of the money is on the Suns to cover the spread, which is just due to value, I would assume. So Phoenix right now plus 126 underdogs. Not a bad line if you wanted to play it. I will say this Phoenix team has shut me up a lot. I thought they were pretty terrible, and they've won, 5 of their last 6 games, so they've looked very, very good as of lately. Whereas Trailblazers on a 2-game loss streak. They just got beat by the Mavericks, and then they got beat by Houston the game before that, and they got blown out by Houston. So 2 straight games they've got kind of whooped a little bit. And then if you look at the Suns, they're coming off of a loss versus Atlanta, but it was a very, very close game. They're still missing Grayson Allen. They're still missing Jalen Green. 2 big losses for the Suns team. If you look at Portland, they're missing Henderson. Drew Holiday is doubtful. Lillard or Dame obviously out for the season. But some other play. I mean, we got a lot of injuries on the Portland side of things. Now, in terms of starting 5, looking pretty good here. I like this game for Avdia. I think he has a great game. I like Booker in this matchup. Both those players should pop off. There's obviously some other players on the Portland side of things you could get some value on, but I like this game in terms of player props. I think there's a lot of players that we can take and cash on. But for me, I got to run with the Trailblazers, man. I can't bet against the Trailblazers at home against this Phoenix team. I just can't, especially when money line 72% of the money is on Phoenix money line at plus money. So I'm running the opposite on that one. I'm going to run with the 28% that chose Portland. I got Portland winning this game, and if the Suns bite me in the butt again, then maybe I'll start questioning my decision-making on the Suns for the next one. But that being said, guys, let's jump into some player props. I will say, guys, before we jump into the player props, if you want to get a free month of our VIP, you can sign up to any of our partnered apps down in the description. You can get up to 7 full months of VIP. You can sign up for Better, Parlay Play, Underdog, Sleeper, Novig, Dabble, or one more in there, Underdog, Chalkboard, whichever one I didn't say. Any of those apps are down there you can sign up for and get up to 7 full months of our VIP for free. You get a deposit match on every single platform, and they do have discounts for each one of you guys. So if you're playing on multiple apps, I recommend taking advantage of some of these discounts because that is a very, very good way to stay profitable. That being said, let's go ahead and jump into these player props. I am going to take a sip of my Ghost energy drink. Shout out to Ghost. And let's go ahead and lock some of these in, which I can't lock them in live because I don't have my parlay play. So, anyways, we won't be locking in the slips live, but I'll show you the props that I like. So, first prop I have for the day is going to be for our man Lauri Markkanen. I like Markkanen today. Told you guys, I think this Jazz Lakers game is going to be very fast-paced, very high-scoring, and I think Markkanen can cash this before if it becomes a blowout, before it becomes too bad of a blowout for him to stop playing. Now, let's look at our man Lauri this season. He's averaging 31 points per game. He had 47 points his last game versus the Bulls, 40 points versus the Lakers versus Atlanta the game before that, and 35 versus the Pacers the game before that. He is their all-star player. Markkanen is the guy to go to on this Jazz team. Now, I am going to go ahead and say the Lakers' points defense looking a little bit better this season than it usually does. Last season, I'm pretty sure they gave up quite a few points. Now, don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But usually the Lakers are a team that give up a lot of stats. To the power forward position, they give up almost 27 points, or a little over 27 points per game. One of the worst defenses in the league to the power forward position. Lineup, you got Markkanen and Hachimura. So there we go for power forward position. I like Markkanen here a lot. You can take his points or you can take his PRA, and you guys have the freedom to do what you want with this line. His PRA is 34.5, and his points is 26.5. He had 56 PRA his last game, 49. He's averaging 39 PRA per game on the season. Markkanen is mainly a scorer as of lately. He can get some rebounds. If you want to play points and rebounds rebounds. There's a lot that I like for Markkanen. If you look at his points and assists, the defense versus the Lakers, both are ranked 28. So we got a great matchup here for our man Laurie. I expect him to have a good game. Head-to-head versus the Lakers, he's only cashed this one of his last 4, but also the 3 of the last 4 games were from last season, and some of these games, obviously, they have a full healthy team going against. It's just a different circumstance right now. The only game, or all of these are from last season, none are from this season. What am I talking about? Regardless, I like Markkanen here. His points prop, we just saw 26. His PRA prop is going to be at 34.5. Let's go ahead and find Laurie in this matchup. I'm just going to type his name in so I don't spend 10 minutes looking for him. Markkanen, you got 25.5 points, or you have his PRA at, they don't have a regular line for him anymore, 33.5. So I like either of these lines, guys. I really do. You can play discounted lines if you want. If you want to play his points line down to like 20's free, in my opinion. 23.5, I think, is a pretty good line for Markkanen here. PRA line, I like 31.5 a lot for this. These two plays together is a 1.4x, by the way. If he catches one, he probably catches both. If you wanted to play it that way, you could. So I like both these lines for him. I like their original lines. Do not come here, oh, you're just playing goblins. Anybody can do that. If you can do that, go ahead and do it. I'm not saying that goblins are I'm not saying that goblins are always the move, because they're not always the move. And sometimes it can screw up your payouts, because a lot of the times if he gets 32 PRA, he could cash to 33.5, which means you would lose value just by taking the goblin. But there's a lot of hooks as well, so you got to figure out the fine line that you're willing to take. I like Markkanen's regular line. I personally will play his goblin just to get better, or just to have a safer play. That's just my personal opinion on this, in case it is a blowout, because the potential for blowout is definitely there. It could be a 30-point game at halftime. You never know. Regardless, I like Markkanen here. Points, PRA are the two that I'm looking at. If you guys want to pick one of those props, you're more than welcome. The next player that I have for this game, or for this slate, is going to be for our man Michael Porter Jr., taking our man MPJ. The Nets versus the Celtics. This is a pretty tough matchup, I will say. If you pull up MPJ, his line is sitting at 34.5. He's cashed it 7 of his 12 games on the season. He's had 35 PRA average on the season, and he's cashed this line, if you look at his last 10, and 6 of his last 10, but he's also cashed it in one of the 6 of his last 8. So he's been killing this line, man. Head-to-head versus Boston, he's went under both games by a good bit. Now, you got to remember, he played for the Nuggets last season. Nuggets playing time, he averaged 35 to 40 minutes in those 2 games, which he didn't do much of anything. But this Nuggets team and this Nets team are 2 completely different animals. How many mouths to feed do you have on the Nuggets? Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic. Those are 3 big players right there that's going to take up a lot of your usage. And then if you look at the Nets team, who do you have over here taking up? Claxton, Clowney. I mean, that's about it. Porter is the go-to guy right now. So Cam Thomas being out makes a huge difference for Porter. Now, if we look at the Celtics defense, the Celtics does not give up many stats. If you go to small forward or power forward, they don't give up many stats. They don't give up many stats to the guard. They don't give up many stats to anything but the center position. So if you want to run like Claxton or something, I would not be based off of like defensive lines and things like that. It wouldn't surprise me if Claxton went over. So Claxton is honestly probably a pretty decent play. But for me, man, Michael Porter Jr. right now, I got to run with him. He had 50 PRA his last game versus Washington, 42 the game before that versus Orlando. He's going to be needed. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if somehow the Nets pulled out an upset or kept this game very close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, hopefully. But Michael Porter Jr. at 34.5. You can run in there, or you can run a discounted line. It's totally up to you guys what you want to do. PRA or points. I like his points. I honestly like him at 19.5. I'm going to be honest. It doesn't give you much of a payout, but I really like Porter for 20 points, and I really like Porter for 29.5 PRA if you wanted to play that line. The payout's going to be a little bit better on the 29.5 PRA than it is for the points, but I like Porter for both of those, man. I'm probably going to run PRA here. PRA right there gives us a 1.9x if we just ran this, and I honestly like playing Markkanen twice here, because if he cashes 24 points, he's probably giving us 32 PRA. That's my personal opinion. So obviously that's not always going to be the case, and we've had some games, like I said, Markkanen is not facilitating too much. He's more just straight up scoring. But anyways, I do like the odds here for both these players to hit, and I'm going to be running them. So Porter Jr. is our second pick of the day. Third play of the day is going to be for the Magic side of things. I'm taking our man Franz Wagner. I told you guys the Magic versus the Golden State. I have Golden State winning, but I like Wagner here, man. Wagner's been a beast without Banchero. Look at his points line. Did I say Wagner had 40 points last game? I think I did earlier. He had 29, so yeah, I lied completely. But Wagner's had he's averaged 23 points per game on the season. We're going to go without Banchero. That's what we're going to do. So we're going to look at everything without Banchero. He's cashed it in only 2 games. He had 25 and 29 points in those 2 games without Banchero. Are there any games without Suggs? There's 1 game where he had 29 points. So obviously this adds a lot of potential for our man Wagner here. If we go to PRA, and I'm sorry if I'm scrolling too much, PRA here from this season. We go to without Banchero. He's cashed one of his 2 games, and that's 36.5 PRA. Is his line 36.5? I thought it was 34.5. It's 35.5. So Wagner right here is 35.5 PRA. You add him in, it gives us a 3.6x. That line's sweaty. I will say, I do think it's sweaty. If you look at Golden State's PRA defense, they don't give up a ton of stats. If you go to the power forward position, 11th, 21st, and 9th in terms of points, rebounds, and assists. To the small forward, it's 8th, 1st, and 11th. And to the center, it's 21st, 12th, and 26th. So they give a lot of stats to the center again. It seems to be a common theme here. To the point guard, they give up a lot of stats. But to power forward and to shooting guards, not really too many stats given up here. So, regardless, man, we can take a look at some of the matchups here. I honestly like Butler in this matchup as well. I like Wagner. Baines, probably a good play if Suggs sits again. So it really just depends on what you guys want to run here. For me, it's Wagner. I know a lot of people don't like Wagner too much just because he has sold us a couple times, but he's been pretty consistent as of lately as well. So Wagner, if you put 29.5 PRA, I really like that. It's a 2.4x, or you can get him at his 35.5, which there was an in-between line at like 32.5. So for me, it's going to be hard for me to play. I don't want to play the 35.5, but I don't want to play 29.5 either. I want in the middle. I want like 31.5 or 32.5. So can't do anything with that just yet. I'm going to take Wagner off. We'll see what his points line is. Can we get some type of point line in between? 20 points is probably a good one. 1.7x? What? Oh, I got rid of... Okay, I see what I did. I got rid of Porter. About to say, why'd the payout go down? Let's get this back up. So I'm just going to put the 29.5 here. It is a 2.4x if you run Wagner for points right there. That's the same value as the PRA, so I don't really like that either. Can't get him in between either. So right now, Wagner is either all or nothing. It's either you play his regular line or you play his extremely discounted line, which doesn't pay out anything. So for Wagner, I'm going to fade on Wagner for now. I'm going to leave him on the list. You guys can play him what you want. I'm going to fade him for now in terms of picking one of these props that's available. I'm going to keep on here my favorite props. The favorite props in terms of value, goblins and not goblins, but regardless, I like these plays so far. And Wagner will be on my prop list for sure. But anyways, last play of the day is going to be for our man Jalen Johnson. Like I said, I think this game stays competitive, can go either way, and it really just depends on injury news. Injury news doesn't affect this Jalen Johnson play for me. Jalen Johnson's PRA line is sitting at 36.5. If you look at his last 3 games, 42, 63, and 42. He has been dominant as of lately. If you take Porzingis out of this and Ricochet out of this, it gets a little bit Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson are the 2 guys. So Cunningham and Alster on the other team, obviously, if they play, this game's going to be very, very competitive. If everybody plays, we got a good game here, and it could go either way, in my opinion. But right now, Jalen Johnson is the guy in this game that I want to look at, especially with all the questionable players. So if Porzingis plays, I think it hurts like a Dyson Daniels play more than it hurts Jalen Johnson personally. I'm not saying that as like, take that with a grain of salt is what I'm saying, but I do like Jalen Johnson here regardless. So I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of rambling right now. But Jalen Johnson, PRA, I like him at like 33.5. They had a 33.5 line. I just gone to, you can get him here. This ends up being a 4.2x if you play all these. If we took Markkanen's 23 points off and left just this and played all these like the way they are, you got a 4.5x, man. I like this slip. I like this slip a lot. Jalen Johnson at 34.5 PRA, I know is not a huge discount here. You're only getting 2 PRA off, but I think he cashes it. I think this game's going to be a good game. So he's cashed at 7 of 12 games on the season. We can go to games without Trae Young. Just take Trae out. Without Trae Young, he's cashed at 5 of 8 games. He's averaging 41 PRA per game. One game he hooked versus the Clippers. He went under versus Orlando and then versus Toronto. So I do expect a good game from him here. He's averaging 14.4 field goal attempts per game. His last 3 games, he has shot very, very well. 3-pointers he's hit. He's had a couple free throws. He had almost 7 of 11 in that game where he had 63. So he's getting a lot of boards as well. If you wanted to play like rebounds and assists, you could do that. It's 15.5. A little bit sweatier in my opinion. I like his points. I think he's going to be needed to score, especially if Porzingis sits. If Porzingis sits, then I do think this is going to be a Dyson Daniel game for me. So got to run him at PRA. I think 34.5 is a good line. If you wanted to take him at 29.5, it will bring you down to a 3.2x. So it's a complete multiplier difference if you take him there. So 4.5x versus 3.2x. If I put $150 on this, it's 675 versus 480. So that's literally a $200 difference on the slip paying out with a $150 bet. So hard for me to want to take that 29.5 line on this, but that's with very bad value on some of these. Obviously, Wagner, you could get like 21.5, and I like it there. I like the Markkanen 31.5. I like the Porter 29.5. I like the Jalen Johnson 34.5 for the value. But if you could get Wagner at like 21.5 points, I don't dislike that either. And I think he cashes this out, and it'd probably bring you close to a 6x. But regardless, guys, that's what I got for this slate. You guys can play the original lines if you want. I might sprinkle some on some of the original lines, but for now, these are the 4 props that I like. You can break them up into 2-mans. You can play them all on a 4-man. You can take out the one you don't like and play the 3-man. It's totally up to you guys. Do what you want. Mix and match them the way you like. But that's what I got for today's picks, guys. So lock them in if you like them. Fade them if you don't. Join our Discord if you're not in there already. And I'll see y'all in the next video.